Hey everyone, welcome back to another week of How to Live, the podcast. This week, I am actually off to Bali for 3 full weeks. I cannot believe it. I'm going actually to do my yoga teacher training. So that's 22 days of full-on yoga. I think it's like 11 hours a day or something a little bit scary like that. And this is actually something I've wanted to do for such a long time. It's really personal, just for me, nothing to do with work. And I guess for a while, I was kind of grappling with this idea of whether I should go and whether I should take this time away from my work, kind of riddled with guilt, I guess, that the team and Stef would be behind in Melbourne, like working towards our dreams, and I'm just like off in Bali doing my own thing. But ultimately, I decided I really need to practice what I preach. And, if it was one of my team members coming to me and saying, do you think I should do this? The answer would absolutely be yes. So I am finally going and I am so excited.
Good for you. I'm excited for you too. And don't worry about the team. We're going to hold down the fort. We'll be totally fine. But who's going to feed your cat while you're gone?
Oh, Elliot will definitely have to take care of Snow White.
I feel like I'll have to check in with him to make sure he's actually feeding her.
Yeah, I feel like he might have to call on you and Deb a little bit.
Yeah, but you'll come back in full yogi mode and you're going to run rooftop sessions of yoga for us. So I'm really excited.
Same.
So today, as promised, we thought we would change up the format of our episodes a little bit. We did talk a little bit about our journey and our story so far. In the first episode, we talked about how we built TWOOBS just a little, and people seemed really interested in that. So we thought it'd be really fun and different if today we kind of told you the TWOOBS story. We kind of gave the backstory a little bit, I think, in our first episode. And so if you didn't listen to that yet, definitely go back and listen to it. But today we thought we could talk about actually launching TWOOBS, how we launched it, how it's been so far, the failures and learnings. And there have been many, many failures, but we like to brand them learnings because it's way sexier.
Obviously.
And yeah, we just thought we'd run you through the journey.
Okay, so let's get into it. So I guess where we left off in our previous episode talking about TWOOBS was when we kind of had found our suppliers, had created a product. So at this point, when we finally got the product to where we wanted it to be, which honestly took so many rounds of sampling, I think it took like 2 years or something before we had a product that we were like, okay, we're ready to bring it to market.
It took way longer than we thought it would. And I think that's really funny about most things, that you set out and you're in this huge rush and you're like, I got to do this tomorrow. But if you look at our first prototypes, I have on my computer 15 folders of the weirdest, most unwearable looking shoes you've ever seen in your life.
They didn't even look like shoes when we first started in the beginning of that prototype sesh. But then even once we launched, I definitely think we will both admit we weren't, looking back on it, those products, the first collection kind of make us go, ugh.
We didn't even know how to choose the colors. I remember we were like, all right, how do we pick different colors for these different shoes? And somebody kind of said, oh, there are these things, Pantone books that you can look at and you can pick out, there are a million shades of fuchsia. So just picking a fuchsia that you want to pick is insane and mind blowing. But we picked these 4 colors. I don't even know why we picked those 4 colors. They were the most
it was orange, purple, pink,
aqua.
Aqua.
And we thought, oh, these colors are so fun and out there. This will totally be what people want to wear.
Exactly. So at this point, I guess, because our background was really in that influencer side, we'd seen so many brands kind of come through and utilize influencing as a way to launch their brand, and then they would have success just by putting their products on influencers and then having other people see them on Instagram. So we were like, okay, plenty of other people have done this before us. This isn't some groundbreaking concept. This will work for us.
So we had really heavily weighted the marketing of our shoes on an influencer marketing strategy. But the problem with this was when we kind of came up with that concept, that was, around the time where Triangle Swimwear and Frank Body were really coming up and utilizing Instagram as a marketing platform. But because it took us 2 years to bring this product to market, side learning, probably should have thought about a product that we could bring to market quicker than shoes because they're so technical.
Like a lip gloss.
Oh, lip gloss. Kylie knows what's up.
A bronzer.
Yeah, anything really, anything other than shoes. So by the time we were launching, influencer marketing wasn't as powerful as it once was. and we hadn't really considered that. We also thought, well, we're influencers. We could just launch a product and everybody's going to go out and buy it, right?
Yeah. So absolute spoiler alert. We kind of like launched our shoes and had influencers wearing them, and we were wearing them and we were talking about them, and they didn't really sell that well, like at all. It was just kind of like a really, really slow burn, like orders like trickling through, maybe a few a day. This was when we were online only, so you could only buy the shoes at TWOOBS.com. And like it felt like daggers in our heart. Like it was a huge blow for us, and a huge moment where we were like, uh-oh, like have we just spent all this time and energy investing in something that actually isn't going to be what we thought it was?
So we really want to tell you how we got from there to how we got to a viable shoe business that we are today. But before we do that, we really want to tell you how we launched.
So I'm not sure if you guys might have seen, but we did post this video on Facebook a few years ago that was how we launched our brand TWOOBS at New York Fashion Week for $500. So basically, big rewind. We, with How to Live, often go to fashion weeks, and this one particular year when we had our TWOOBS ready to start selling, we were going to fashion week for How to Live. And we know from being at fashion weeks that there are often a lot of just like photographers hanging out outside the shows, kind of like waiting around in between the time that people are coming and going so they can take some street style photos.
So while we were there, we were like, this is the perfect opportunity to launch our shoes, but we really don't have a lot of money here. We don't have a lot of budget, and we're not going to spend $1 million to launch our product at Fashion Week like so many brands do. I mean, we would have loved to have spent that money, but let's be real, we didn't have it.
Exactly. So we came up with this idea. It was like winter in New York. So it was
it was like 0 degrees at this point.
Yeah, it was
Celsius.
It was like stupid cold, like the type of cold where you go outside and like every part of your face that's exposed starts to sting.
Burn.
Like, yeah, fully. So we were like, okay, let's just really embrace this. We decided that we would put on a summer fashion show in quotation marks on the streets of New York outside of these fashion week venues.
So we had no models, obvi. We don't know anyone in New York. So we put it out on Craigslist, and Craigslist is genius. There's Gumtree in Australia, and we posted an ad, and we honestly had about 100 responses of people wanting to come and model in our campaign. So we held a modeling casting in the lobby of our hotel. It was
my God.
hilarious.
I forgot about that.
I know, how funny.
That's really good.
So we had one girl.
I think it was also the day before our show, or like 2 days before our show.
Oh, yeah. It was
we're
like
cutting it real fine.
Real fine as we do. And like we had no idea if we were going to be able to pull this thing together, let alone pull it off.
I think we had also been like checking the weather every day, and it was like raining on some days and like snowing on other days. So we were just like really hoping and praying that this one day was going to work out for us.
So I remember there was this one girl who came from, I think it's Rhode Island, and she'd gotten on like an 8-hour bus to get there.
Yes.
And like these Americans, they're just hard workers. It's pretty incredible.
And I think what was really cool as well was that when we kind of chatted to them about why they were keen to get involved, like their response was kind of like, oh, it just sounded like a really cool experience that I could have under my belt. Not that they were trying to be models or anything. One of them was even like getting into med school as we were talking to her. It was just like a fun experience to have had in like your 20s.
So the concept that we'd come up with, as just mentioned, there are photographers always waiting outside shows. They don't have anything to do. So we were like, right, we could put on this summer fashion show in the middle of winter. We'll take them to these venues where fashion shows are on. And in between the fashion shows, maybe when the photographers have nothing to do, they're going to want to shoot our models, and we're going to create a really big buzz around this.
So I remember like driving in the car on the way to the Fashion Week venue, not knowing whether anyone's even going to react or like what's going to happen. And
are they going to laugh at us?
Yeah, like Stephanie and I had full on butterflies at this moment. I remember we were just like, if this fails, this will be really awkward for us, you know?
And the models are dressed up in bikinis. We've done their hair and makeup ourselves. We got a few brands on board to give like, you know, Sunny Life gave us some cool props, and we were really going to like set the beach scene.
Oh my God. That's So funny that we did the hair and makeup. I forgot about that.
How funny is that?
We're not good at hair and makeup, just
We're
FYI.
okay, we're fine.
I
we
mean,
get
like,
by.
we
You know
do
what?
our own.
And when you're a startup, like those are the things that you just kind of have to do. Like,
Oh, 100%.
you just like, I'm not going to pay money for this, so I'm just going to learn how to do it myself, watch a couple YouTube tutorials. I feel like we might have watched some YouTube tutorials on like how to do eyeshadow and that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we're on the way in the car to our first show. We were blasting the heating because we were so worried that these girls were going to like get hypothermia once we got them out of the car. They were in dressing gowns that we'd borrowed from the hotel and blasting this heating. We got to the first venue. We took the girls outside. I remember a few people were like, what is going on here?
I think we also had like a boom box that we were like carrying on our shoulder. Like, you know, oh, this is such a vibe. So we were like really trying to create like a show and like a whole vibey area.
Totally. And like these fashion people are serious, you know, like we didn't want to be the laughing stock.
And we also didn't want to offend anyone. Like I remember that was a conversation as well. You know, we come to New York Fashion Week, we're guests, like we don't want to offend. We don't want to piss any like, you know, Fashion Week people festival off.
But so the girls pulled out their fold out chairs and they came, they strutted in, they sat down, they started just like acting like it was the middle of summer. I remember one girl had like a bit of a hula hoop with her or something.
Oh my God.
One girl was blowing bubbles. Honestly, now I cringe when I think about that. But like,
Totally.
anyway, these photographers, one by one, started to kind of come over and be like, what is this? What's happening here? Someone started to take photos. Another guy started to take photos. And all of a sudden we had this swarm of people taking photos.
Oh my God. It was literally absolutely amazing. Like I just remember in that exact moment when there were like photographers like swarming the girls, Savvy and I looking over at each other and just like absolutely pissing ourselves laughing. Like, oh my gosh, did this actually work? Like, are we actually doing this?
So good.
It was such a good feeling. And then we continued on to another couple of Fashion Week venues and they had like a similar reception. And it's also really funny because, you know, now when we go to Fashion Week, there are actually a lot of brand activations outside and a lot of people have kind of cottoned on to this attention, I guess, that you could grab from people going into these venues. But we were kind of at the right time where it was completely innovative. And I think that's why people were so shocked and excited by it because they'd never seen anything like it.
Totally. Like now when we've looked to do things at Fashion Weeks, it's almost like you've got to do something understated and that's more clever. But at the time, we had identified that this kind of thing wasn't really going on at Fashion Weeks. So at the time, it was really innovative and cool.
So what was really interesting about this for us is that it did have a great reception and, you know, it like went pretty crazy on socials. And I think like New York Fashion Week picked it up on their Snapchat and stuff like that. So we were really excited about like on the day and the couple of days after, like the buzz.
And we were sure that this was going to be how we would get our first sales. Like we were like sitting there back in our hotel room, waiting, watching and being like, okay, let the sales roll in. And I think we got honestly like 5 sales from that.
Yeah, I even remember one of the first sales that came through was a girl that I know, Hannah Baker. Thanks, Hannah. And she still loves TWOOBS today, which is awesome. But yeah, so there were a few that were trickling in, but nothing major. And a big part of why we were doing this as well was because we wanted to get press on our brand. So we started writing to journalists that either we had had a connection with or really just reaching out cold saying, you know, with a bunch of photos, just saying, look at what we did at New York Fashion Week. Like we launched on a budget.
And just so you know, this is something we've done a lot over the years is we've pulled together press lists. And the way you do that is literally by getting your Google stalk on. You Google or you find articles that you feel like are similar to the kind of article you'd be wanted someone to write about you. And you find the journalist's name. We use this awesome website called Rocket Reach where you type in someone's name and they give you like, I think it's 5 free a month you get email addresses from people.
They also spam your inbox, so beware.
Rocket Reach?
Yeah.
But that's because you're signed up to them, not when you're actually using it.
Oh, it's really annoying.
Oh, maybe it is once you sign up to them.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, true. You do have to sign up to them to get people's email addresses. But, you know, there are really savvy ways like that, you know, finding people on social media now. Some people have their emails in their bios. But pulling together your own media list is really, really handy and is something that's come in handy for us a lot.
So we were reaching out to press and we thought we had this brilliant story in our hands. And the feedback that we were getting from everyone, either they wouldn't respond, which I feel like is so common and still happens to us on the regs.
Well, yeah, I feel like 1 in 30 emails you send to a journalist will get a response, if that.
Yeah, but so the ones who were responding were like, nah, this is old news. Like, New York Fashion Week happened yesterday. Like, not really that interested. Literally not one person wanted to write about it.
And we tried for a couple of weeks and we started to realize, okay, it's a bit late now. It isn't newsworthy. They're right. But we knew we felt like we had a story in there. And when we looked at what we were showing them and what we were telling them, we were writing the story and we were sending them photos of what happened. But we were like, we feel like they're not really understanding like how cool this is and how we literally like brands pay $1 million to launch at Fashion Week, and we did this with $500. So we were like, okay, let's take this back a step. Let's tell the story ourselves. So we created this video, and okay, I don't know if can we tell them?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's tell
we're
them.
going to tell you. We're going to
Truth time.
Okay, we went to our house in Melbourne, Australia, weeks after this has happened in New York Fashion Week.
I think it was summer, so now it's like 40 degrees.
Now it's 40 degrees. So we decided to recreate some of the scenes that we would have shot in New York to tell the story. So we get dressed in like our coats and
massive knits,
our 0 degree attire, and we filmed this story. And so it did have a little bit of creative license in there, in that like those things weren't exactly happening at the time, but we just told it as if it was happening at the time. We said, hey guys, here we are at New York Fashion Week. This is what we have planned today.
Because we had some footage from the day from like Snapchat in those days and a bit that we had taken on our phones, but we didn't know that we were going to want to do a video. So we really didn't have much to work with. So when you watch it back, it's funny because, well, it's funny for us because we can tell that we're just like in our house talking about what we're going to do that day. And I think, so once we created this video and we then...
We'll put the link, by the way, in the show notes. You have to go and watch it. It's a pretty brilliant video.
It is. It's really good. So once we did that video, we not only did we like put it on Facebook ourselves, but we then reached out to journalists again and we were like, here's the story. We basically told it for you. Do you want to run it?
And we made the headline, how to launch at New York Fashion Week with $500. And we thought about the angle, which is I studied PR. So, I'd been taught, think about the angle. And, you really do have to think about what would a journalist want to write about? What would people want to read about? And we knew we had something here. So within a few days, a woman called Kathy Anderson, who we had never spoken to before and happened to be the business editor, I believe, at the Huffington Post, she reached out to us and was like, hey girls, I love this. I really want to do a story on it. And we just couldn't believe it. Like, we'd been hustling so hard for so long on this, and it just all kind of came together for us. We were like, wow, we were right. We needed to tell the story. It wasn't just enough to be like, hey, here's this thing that we did. We really need to tell it in the way that we saw it and the way that we thought it was so innovative to get somebody to care about it.
And I feel like we've definitely touched on this before, but it just kind of really shows that, we do not take no for an answer. Had we taken no for an answer, we probably wouldn't have even done the show in the beginning, or maybe we wouldn't have gotten any press on it. But like, we just kept looking at each other and saying, no, there's something in this. We know there is. We know there is. We won't take a no for an answer. Push, push, push. And like we've told you before, we'll tell you again, that really has been so crucial to getting our messaging across and getting exposure, is just that we're so annoying. We won't take no for an answer.
We are going to annoy the shit out of you. Don't say no to us. So this is really the best part, right? Do you agree?
What's the best part?
What I'm about to say. Don't you remember what happened?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you. You're going to love this. So Kathy said to us, she interviewed us. Oh,
I thought you said that part already.
No,
Sorry.
I hadn't said that. You got ahead of yourself.
Sorry.
To the nose. So we knew this article was going to be published, and we were waiting, and you don't really know when it's going to be published, what day it's going to be published, how much of you is going to be in there. Is it going to be a story that includes other people? So it's Monday morning. It's about 7 a.m. It was probably April 2016 at this point, and we get a call. Go on huffingtonpost.com.au. So we go on Huffington Post, and I'm not kidding, the front page of the entire Huffington Post is a picture, not of us, which we'd had pictures of us out there. This was a picture of our shoes on our models in New York Fashion Week, and the headline was, how two entrepreneurs pulled off a launch at Fashion Week for $500.
Yes,
Oh
we
my
did
God.
it. And they had like a link to our website, and they had like amazing imagery and a link to the video, and it had like all the great things.
I remember I didn't even know that the Huffington Post used one space of their website for one thing like that. Like it was the
insane.
entire front page.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was ginormous. It was like landing like the front page of like the most popular newspaper, you know, back in the day.
Oh my God, we were just dying. And yeah, that was when for us, we were like, right, we are never taking a no. Not that we ever did, but we are never taking no as an answer ever.
Yeah,
again.
that was just kind of like, okay, it's evident that we need to just like continue to push. And so that was the launch, and that was awesome. And we did like gain a bit of traction from that. But again, we touched on it. The influencer thing, it didn't really work out for us. It's great for brand awareness, which is what we've since learned. You know, it's kind of like being in a magazine. Like it's great for people that they're seeing your shoes and that you're front of mind. But in terms of pushing sales, for us, for our brand, it really has not been the driver.
And even that launch, you know, like that was incredible brand awareness. And still to this day, people say to us, oh, wait, are you the girls who have the shoe label and you launch at New York Fashion Week? Like the brand awareness around that was incredible. But what we've really learned is that PR and social media are really for brand awareness. They're not to drive sales. So I think the thing for us at that point was we were so like, sales. We were like, how do we make a quick sale? We weren't really thinking about the longevity of the business. So we were really taking the right steps at that point to creating a longevity in our business. But it wasn't the way to get sales. It kind of needed to be in tandem with a sales strategy.
So at this point, this is actually when we joined the startup, the startup program, which we also touched on in our first episode in conversation with Jess and Stef. So we joined this startup program to kind of like help us with our business, because it was kind of like, okay, we launched our shoe brand. Now what? That's like exactly how we're feeling. We're working from home. It was just the two of us. We were like, what the hell do we do now? We're sitting on all this stock. We don't know how to move it. We don't know actually how to run a business.
And one of the best things we got out of that startup program, I mean, there were a lot of them, but just having that community around us, you know, like suddenly we weren't on our own. We had other people around us who were also trying to start their businesses, and they were there to listen, to offer advice. We could hear about their problems. We related to each other on such a big level. And I feel like that's something that's so important that, you know, when you are starting a business, if you're on your own or if you just have one partner, you know, either joining a co-working space or going on an accelerator program, even joining a Facebook group, like like-minded bitches drinking wine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, those are just really powerful ways to connect with other people who are going through the same thing as you, and often are having really weirdly similar problems to you, because let's face it, we all kind of face those same problems when starting out.
Totally. And so it was actually interesting as well, because when we were on this startup program, you know, we were kind of like pushing this like shoe agenda, and the feedback that we were getting from a lot of people was, like, I don't really know if the shoes is the thing for you guys. Like, I don't really know if this is the product that's going to take off. Like, love the two of you, love your energy, like, think that you'll do great things. Don't necessarily know that this is what it will be. And it's actually really funny, because we discussed this recently with the news about Shoes of Prey no longer being. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Maybe we can also post a link. But so Shoes of Prey was this brand in Australia that kind of, I guess, started the like customization through their website. So you would basically go on there and you would create your own pair of shoes. You could use different colors, different prints, different fabrics, everything. And the feedback that we were getting from these people was, you guys should look at Shoes of Prey. Like, this is an innovative thing in the shoe industry. You need to be doing something like this.
Yeah, like you constantly need to be innovating, and it's not good enough that you're just like a shoe product. It needs to have like all this and all that.
So yeah, and that was something that we kept hearing, but within the two of us, we just, you know, kept kind of looking at each other and being like, hang on, no, that doesn't really align with what our values and what we believe. Like, we believe that, you know, people, we've seen firsthand, people come to us for style advice. Like, they want help with how to wear things and what to wear. And so we were like, by giving them all this choice, we'll just be confusing them. We don't want to confuse our customers. We want to tell them, this is what you should be wearing. This is what we think is cool. That was what we saw the value in.
And I think the learning there is that, you know, along the way, you are going to get advice if you ask for it, and that's great. And some of that advice will be the best advice you ever got. But at the same time, you have to be willing to stick to what you really believe in. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to make those decisions. And it's not even like one of the decisions is right and one of the decisions is wrong. And I actually have a friend who is constantly paralyzed by decision making and can never pick which way to go. And I said to her the other day, you know, you just have to pick one. One is not the right, one is not the wrong, but it's up to you to decide what's the way forward for you. And you're going to go forward with that and you're going to make it work.
And I think it's really easy as a young person as well to kind of look at these like older, more established people and think, oh, well, they're successful and they think that I should be doing it this one way. But honestly, then the more successful people you speak to, you realize that even they have very conflicting advice and views of where you should take your business, which I feel like just validates this idea that everyone means well and everyone has great ideas, but ultimately you need to trust yourself. And also having the two of us just make that so much easier that we just constantly check in with each other. Oh, did you feel that way when they said this? Yes, I did. Oh, so did I. Perfect. You know, just to really have someone like keep you accountable for what you really set out to create.
Totally. And so another thing that we really got out of that startup program was they paired us with mentors on the program. So there were some amazing people that had worked on incredible businesses in all different fields. And we were assigned 2 of those mentors. And we started to catch up with them about once a month just to talk through our business and what we're up to, any pain points we're experiencing. And mentors really changed our lives and changed our business.
Yeah.
It's something now we completely advocate for. We have a bunch of different mentors that we can kind of draw on for different things. You know, we have one that's really like fashion focused. We have one that's really business focused. We have one that's more, you know, personal. They're just like having this suite of mentors. And really, this is where the idea of podcasting came about to us, has really, really been super valuable. And it's something that I talk a lot to my friends who I know are starting their own businesses or even, you know, in a job and trying to get their career up and running. And they always say, how do I even find a mentor?
100%. That's what I was thinking.
And I think, you know, for us, a lot of the mentors that we've found have been, again, just through actively seeking out people that we think are really, really intelligent and clever and amazing. And so one person was actually, who you'll actually hear from in a future episode, the way we got her to be our mentor was we knew she was really high up in this amazing company that we looked up to. And we heard that she had left the company. And so I actually saw her out one day and
you saw her getting her lashes done and your lashes done.
Yes, you're right. We were both getting our lashes done and at Bat Your Lash, which is our favorite lash place. And she mentioned to me, oh, I'm actually taking a bit of a leave. I'm going to Italy for a little bit. I'm going to Sicily. And then I'm going to be coming back and I'm going to be, you know, starting something new. I don't really know yet. And I thought, oh my God, she is so fantastic. I don't know how, but she needs to be involved in our business in some way. And so I thought, what could I offer her? So I actually said, oh, I actually have a really good friend who's dating somebody that's from Sicily and they have this whole Sicily list. Give me your email address and I'll send you that list. And that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship with her for us. And I don't actually think we've ever told her that story.
No, I was just thinking, oh, she's going to listen to the podcast and hear that for the first time. That's funny.
Yeah, that's really funny. But, you know, doing things like that and going out there and building relationships and chatting to people that you think might know somebody that could be good for you to be mentored by.
Well, and I think also like something is, as Steph said, it's funny that you said that. You talk to your friends for starting their own businesses. I have the exact same conversations and it's always, where do I find a mentor? But I think also like, the idea of finding a mentor is you have to find the one right mentor. And that's actually not the case. We have a bunch of different mentors, as Steph touched on, with a bunch of different skill sets. And so getting caught up in finding the right person, I feel like might not necessarily be where you should spend your energy, because once you meet them, they might introduce you to someone else who introduces you to somewhere else. And it's just, you know, the word mentor might seem scary, but really what you're just doing is bringing someone into your network that can then help you and guide you and advise you and connect you with people and businesses that you might not have had access to before.
And it might even be someone that you meet up with every 6 months, or, you know, like mentor relationships can look like different things. It really depends on the person. It really depends on you. It doesn't have to be a formal thing where you say to them, can you be my mentor?
Yeah, it's like asking someone out on a date.
I know, it's really scary.
We've done it before.
It's really scary.
Awkward.
But it doesn't necessarily need to be that. Like, I can think of people in our network who are our mentors, and they're just people we occasionally, even like once a year, chat to when we need to. And I think the amazing thing is a lot of people are really, really generous with their time, and you know, they learn too out of sharing with you. I know we've recently started to mentor someone ourselves through our initiative Too Good. It hasn't been announced yet who the recipient is, but we're going to announce it in a few months, and we'll definitely have her on the show. And already, you know, sitting with her, I totally understand how much there is to gain back from being a mentor and passing on your wisdom, because they have their own wisdom to share. They have their own perspective. They have their own experiences that you can learn from too.
Yep. So, okay, let's get back to TWOOBS. Let's hone it in and get back to TWOOBS. So, I guess it was around that time that we actually met that mentor that Stef was saying, the Italy, then the lashes and whatever. So, she kind of came into our business and was like, you know, you guys are so creative, you know, you're stylish and you create great imagery for how to live, but I'm not really seeing any of that come through TWOOBS. You know, like, it's when I go to your website, like, it's pretty sterile, and I'm not really understanding what you're about from just looking at your imagery and looking at the content that you're putting out.
And part of the reason for that was we really just wanted to photograph the shoes. We knew the shoes were cool in our own brains. We love them. So we were like, if we just photograph them against a white wall, people will get them, right?
Exactly. And like, you know, we thought that because we were online, we had to show like every angle of the shoe and like, you know, have the best lighting and all of those things. And she was like, no, it doesn't really work like that, I don't think. So what she actually encouraged us to do was to create a photo shoot with our existing product that was already on the website. And she's like, it'll be a great test for you guys. Just reshoot it in a way that, you know, feels true to you. And then put the photos up, and it's the exact same product, and you'll be able to see, like, does it speak to people more than the plain white boring stuff? And she was so right, and we ended up reshooting it, and the imagery was significantly better. I think now our imagery is significantly amazing, but then it was pretty awesome, and she was absolutely right. Like, once we started to really tell that brand story, not only through copywriting but also through imagery, that was when we kind of like, okay, now we're getting some brand DNA, and now we're like creating something that is true and that is meaningful.
Totally. I think the other thing was we were really scared to spend money in the early days when, you know, we were making a little bit of money, but we were like, we want to be reinvesting it back in the right places. And we just thought, well, you know, if we can like gather a bunch of our friends and take some photos that way, that'll be enough of a campaign. If we can take something on a white wall with somebody that we found on like a Craigslist equivalent, that'll be fine. And
I think we used to write to like TWOOBS customers or something and ask them to meet us on like St Kilda Beach and take their photo. Do you remember that?
You're right. Yeah, that was more for Instagram.
That was cute.
Yeah, I know, that was really cute. We got some great content out of that. But I think really once you know, this mentor encouraged us to go and to spend on getting an art director involved and getting a really high-end photography studio involved. Not that
you're not talking crazy dollars.
Not crazy dollars at all, but just someone that knows what they're doing and has done it before.
Just someone who's not like our friend taking the photos.
Exactly. And like, I think you can see now, if you look at our product, our imagery, our website, you get the brand story. You kind of want to be that girl wearing the shoes, and that has just made all the difference.
100%.
The other thing that's been really big for us has been digital marketing. So I think earlier we mentioned that there was like this brand awareness, PR, social media influencer side of things. But what we really weren't doing was, you know, the Facebook ads. And once we started to get introduced to that, it really, really changed our business.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody actually sat us down and took us through how digital marketing works. And we can definitely, if you guys are interested, have another talk on digital marketing, because there is a lot to share there, and we have a lot of learnings.
Steph will tell you about it because that's her side. I don't do it.
Well, maybe we could even invite our digital marketing team now onto it.
That would be so fun. What a good idea.
Yeah, so we can definitely go into that more. But really, I ran our Facebook and Instagram ads for a year. It was a really powerful way of marketing. And again, it was that idea of you do have to be spending money to make money. And spending it in the right way and learning how to do it is really important, because it might seem like, oh, I could do this. I could just put some money into ads and this will go crazy. But, you know, if you do use the tools that are out there to learn how to use it to your advantage and use it in the right way, it can be really, really powerful. A mistake that we made in the beginning was we just were like, let's just get quick sales. Let's do whatever's like the clickbaitiest thing to do. Let's just put like, you know, whatever photos up there. And I think, you know, there was a positive because a lot of people heard about TWOOBS this way, but it also kind of put the wrong idea of TWOOBS in their mind. And I think that, you know, we weren't thinking enough about telling the story. We were thinking too much about the quick sale because we'd launched and we hadn't had all these sales straight away. We were like, all right, how can we just do this? And a newer mentor that we've brought on and is actually working with us as a consultant now has helped us to see that there's no quick road. You know, we thought when we were starting TWOOBS that within 3 months we were going to be making millions of dollars because we'd heard about, you know, the Daily Edited and all these other people that had done that and that had worked for them. But I think really, like, you hear about the 1 in a million story and you read about that and you're like, I'm going to be that. But really the secret to having any kind of, you know, success in business is it is a long game.
It's totally a long game. And that's like, now we're kind of 3 years in, and now I'm skipping ahead, but we will go back. But it wasn't until, I think we would both agree, it wasn't until maybe this summer that has just passed that, you know, before that, it kind of felt like we were doing well and we were making really good sales, like strong, not as strong as we wanted. And then, you know, it felt like we were constantly like, our shoes are cool, we promise they're cool.
And we were like trying to, you know, constantly push it with journalists, constantly push it, try to get it into fashion shows and things like that.
Exactly. And it wasn't until this season that just passed that something clicked, and it was like everyone understood, and we no longer felt like we were convincing people that they really are, like, now it's kind of becoming its own beast, and like there's becoming this movement around the shoes and people are really passionate about them. And now when we like walk outside and see someone walking down the street in a pair of TWOOBS, like we literally like pinch ourselves times a million.
And I think there are so many things that have gone into leading us here now. You know, it's the Facebook, it's the advertising, it's the PR, it's the social media, it's us
the drive.
It's us being influencers beforehand. All of that has definitely contributed. But I think that what we've really learned is that you can't speed up time, and nothing builds a brand like time does. You know, there was no shortcut that we could have taken to get the brand to be where it is now a couple of years ago. It's really like building that brand trust with your customers, you know, creating those relationships, hustling for every single article that you get, hustling for every single sale that has led us to be where we are now.
100%. That's such a good point.
I think another part of it that we've only really started to realize in the last year is how important it is, especially in this day and age, to bring your values into your business and to be communicating that with your customers.
Totally. So you've heard us kind of talk about the fact, I think we spoke to Mia about it, we might have even spoken to Graham about it, the fact that, you know, when we started How to Live, it was in a very different time where we didn't want to alienate anybody, and we didn't want anyone to feel like they didn't belong with us. So along with that came this idea that, okay, we do have strong beliefs and strong values, but we don't really want to put them out there because they might be polarizing, and that's not what we want to do. But more and more along this journey, it's started to feel super important that we actually do voice these opinions. And, you know, we're in a position where people are listening to us. And so we can not only educate and kind of potentially get them on board, but also just service that inside of ourselves, I guess, that makes us feel really good about what we're doing. And I realized we didn't actually touch on the fact that our shoes are vegan. And that's something that we often get asked about now because, you know, it's like a buzzword and it's cool now and all that good stuff. But the absolute truth is that Steph and I are huge animal lovers. And when we set out to create our shoes, I don't remember having the conversation. I don't know if you do, but she's shaking her head.
I'm shaking my head. Sorry, I forgot we're on podcast for a sec.
I don't think we had that conversation of, okay, like, are we going to use leather? Are we not going to? It never crossed our minds to use leather because we are, at our core, we love animals. We don't eat them. And so it just made no sense to us that we would be putting them in our shoes. So then we kind of then took it that one step further and we started researching about how to create a vegan product, and we learned things like that the glues need to not have animal rennet in them, and went on this whole other journey. But it's really something that is so true to who we are, and I think that speaks to people, because if someone's just creating like a vegan product because they think it's what's going to sell
and they see an opportunity with it,
I'm still happy with that, to be honest. Like, you know, I'm happy that they're not using animal products, but it's not that genuine. And I think that people sniff that out now, and people know, like, it doesn't feel authentic. And so people aren't that willing to get on board.
Totally.
So another thing that happened along this journey was our collaboration that we did with Gorman. So Stef and I are big Gorman fans. We always have been. And through How to Live, we're really interested in working with them. Their values kind of align with ours. They create really colorful, cool clothing, and we just think they're fantastic.
And without even really actively thinking about it, over the years we have been building this relationship with them where we didn't ask them for anything. They didn't ask us for anything, but every time we got invited to a Gorman event, we would go. A lot of the times we would have a show. We would borrow their clothes and we would tag them in things, and we would just, like, you know, going along building this nice relationship because we knew that we loved them, and we were really happy to kind of have this connection with Gorman.
So once we launched our shoes, you know, then the next kind of chats we started to have is, okay, it would be so great if we could collaborate with somebody, like, particularly because the shoes were plain colors. We saw a great opportunity in, like, patterned shoes. We were like, this could be something really cool. Who could we do it with? Oh, the dream would be Gorman. But it was very much that. Oh, the dream
was the dream.
Yeah.
It was never going to happen.
The dream would be Gorman, like, good luck, girls kind of situation.
Yeah. So literally we emailed Gorman, and we knew them, and we knew Lisa Gorman, who's the founder, because we just hung out with her at events. And we were like, hey, we wanted to chat about a collab. Oh no, this isn't how it happened. Sorry. Totally wrong. We were out at a Gorman event and we saw Lisa, and we were chatting to her, and we were hanging out with her, and I think Jess and I might have even said to each other before, oh my God, let's just drop in the collab.
Yeah, like, let's just throw it out there. Like, who cares? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, so we were just like, hey Lisa, we're having such a great time. What do you think about a TWOOBS X Gorman collab? And she was like, yeah, call me. And
she was like, cool, yeah, here's my email address. Like, just, like, make it happen. You can talk to my, I can't remember at the time, marketing assistant or something like that.
And we were just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, not actually thinking it was going to be a thing. So we went in for a meeting a couple of weeks later, and we were thinking this was going to be like a big pitch meeting, and we were going to have to, like, get ready to sell ourselves. I think we had, like, a bit of a presentation ready.
I think we also thought, like, it was a long game. Like, we didn't think that, like, we were going in there to, like, just to create the collaboration, and it was happening, like, that season.
But what we didn't think about was the fact that we had been playing the long game for years already.
100%. Great point.
Yeah, like, nothing does happen overnight. And this wasn't overnight either. It was just that we'd been playing this long game. We didn't know that it was leading up to this moment. We hadn't had in our minds this whole time, this will be because of a shoe collab. And I think that was, you know, what it made it a really genuine relationship as well. And why they felt it too was we weren't actually trying to get anything out of them.
Totally. And I think, like, we are people. And when I say that, I don't mean that we're, like, super extroverted, because we're not. I actually, like, prefer to be at home in my own company most of the time. But it's that we're thoughtful and that we go out of our way to make people feel heard and make people feel special. And I definitely think that has benefited us along the way in a very, very big way.
So we sat down with Lisa, ready for our big pitch. And she was like, okay, cool. I'm really feeling this TWOOBS X Gorman collab.
She put it on. I remember she put the shoe on and she was, like, walking around in it. And I remember, like, I was like, oh, does it fit her perfectly?
I know.
Like, I was, like, super worried. Like, I was like, is she going to roll her ankle? Like, I'm scared.
And she was just like, not that has ever happened before, by the way. Nobody rolls their ankle in TWOOBS.
No, I was just like on the edgest of the edge.
Yeah, totally. And she was just like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's do it in 2 styles. Let's do this color. Let's do this. This is the timeline I'm thinking. And we just left there absolutely bewildered, like, oh my God, Gorman X Tubes is actually happening.
Yeah, we literally left there like squealing in the car. We were driving away because obviously, you know, you've got to play it cool in those sorts of meetings, guys.
Got to play it
so
cool.
You cannot lose your shit in front of everyone like sometimes we have.
No, we just lose our shit after on Instagram stories and they probably see it, but oh well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of how we landed the collab. And then obviously, you know, we had to like work on it and, you know, the design process and production and all of that good stuff. And it was a long process and some of it was hard.
So it was a full year before we got the collab out, but exactly a year ago, or a year and 4 months rather, we released the TWOOBS X Gorman collab. They were saying to us in the weeks leading up, oh my God, we haven't ordered enough. And like
they'd ordered so much. Like they'd ordered more than we order of our shoes.
Yeah. So we were just like, this is never going to sell.
Yeah,
obviously getting a bit down on ourselves the way women do.
They were like, it's definitely going to sell out. And like, we were like, yeah, totally. And then we would look at each other and like shake our heads like, no, it's not going to.
Anyway, within about an hour of launching, they called us and they were like, guys, they're selling out. We haven't ordered enough. We need to double our order. How quickly can we get them? And I think within...
Oh my God, it was crazy. And it was the day of Elliot's. I was putting on a surprise party for Elliot for his birthday. And so I was like running around doing this stupid surprise party. And like Gorman were calling me like 24/7. And then I was on the phone to the supplier and I was like trying to see if we could like get it by the time that they wanted. And it was like the craziest day. And I remember they sold out like within a few hours.
It was 2 hours. They sold out online, literally fully online. They'd sold out. And around Australia in the stores, they'd sold out within a day.
People went bananas for it.
It was really, really crazy. So that pretty much brings you up to speed on the basics of TWOOBS so far. Talking about it today, I think we've realized there is a way more we could talk about than just one little episode. Like we haven't even told you about our team.
Or about our roles.
Yeah, there's a lot more we could chat about. But so we're not going anywhere. There are plenty more podcast episodes to follow. And I think if you guys like this episode, we are definitely happy to keep sprinkling episodes like this throughout the podcast. And so if there is anything that we spoke about today that is really interesting to you and you want to hear more about, or if you want to hear more about any other things in our business, we are very happy to share and be open and honest with you. So please leave a comment, let us know what that might be, and we will be reading and we'll keep doing these episodes.
But before we go, let us end on some quick fires.
Woohoo! This is my favorite part. Is this everybody's favorite part?
This is my favorite part. I don't know if it's everyone's.
Well, I really enjoy it. I feel like it's a nice, light, fun way to end.
Elliot told me that he turns them off when the quick fires start, which I took offense to.
Are you serious?
I know, like that's the best part.
Renan took offense to Elliot getting mentioned last time and not him, so I just thought I'd mention his name. And also he was really offended when I didn't say Panther was my favorite pet. But anyway, straight into it.
So like last time, I've written some questions for Steph. She's written some questions for me. We don't know what they are. Do you want to go first or you want me to?
I'll go. So what is your favorite place to eat in LA?
Jones on 3rd.
Oh, that was easy.
Yum.
How
Tuna
good?
salad, delicious.
Oh, so good. Do you want me to ask the next one or do you want to ask the next one? You can ask
Oh,
the
I
next
can. Younger or the bold type?
Oh, younger, please. Don't even have to think about that one. Sorry, I love the bold type, just to be clear, but younger is life.
Younger is life.
What's the Olsen twin movie you've seen the most times?
Passport to Paris.
Yeah, good. Same.
Your dream TWOOBS collab?
Ooh, Stella McCartney.
Like it.
Yeah. If you had your own yoga school, what would you call it? I thought this one was very fitting, seeing as you're about to go off and do a yoga teacher training.
That's not a quick fire.
I know, but I thought I just had to ask something about yoga, and last time we asked about poses. And I also thought it'd be cool if you named it right now, and then one day you did open a school and it was actually called this, and it was like, haha, it was just from this time we did quick fires.
I know. It could be called live because it could like have how to live connotations. It could be the continuation of live. Like maybe it's like our wellness arm.
Oh my God, that is so good. How did you come up with that? That's genius.
I know, it just came to me. Also because I was panicking that I wasn't going to come up with a good idea. And your favorite dessert?
I think I'm going to go with good old chocolate mousse.
Yum.
Nothing like a good chocolate mousse.
Where from?
Romeo's in Track Village.
Same.
It has like chocolate bits through it. It is delicious.
Also, they sell this Yalla chocolate mousse in the supermarket. And if you guys haven't tried it, you should because it's insane.
So as usual, we better end off on telling them who our podcast guest is next week. It is the very talented
Elise Tran from The Daily Edited.
So we've got the co-founder of The Daily Edited on. This was like the most candid conversation we have had probably on this podcast so far. Elise just sat down and poured her heart out to us, really. Got a bit emotional in some parts. So
we all did. I feel like we all got a bit emotional.
Yeah, totally.
It was a really, really great conversation.
Really good conversation.
So that's cool because we like the episodes to be varied as well. So I'm pretty happy about that one. So hope you have a great week. I'm going to have a great week in Bali.
Enjoy. Get some sunshine for all of us. I feel like it's getting wintry in Melbourne.
Okay, bye.